What's up, y'all? This is Tim Eineke. Welcome to the library. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at kosher22. Also, check us out on www.ratstation.com. That's ratstation.com. We'll continue our conversation with J Zone. He's the author of Root for the Villain, Rap, BS, and The Celebration of Failure. Ideally, who's the audience for this book?
The audience, I can't say an age really, but I can say an age. I mean, like a lot of, if you were like raised in the 80s and 90s, you'll relate to a lot of it. Particularly if you're from the New York or the tri-state area. I mean, and if you were a hip hop kid, if you were watching MTV Raps in the 80s and 90s, you used to buy your CDs and they came in cardboard long boxes, and you have to pull the CD out of the long box and you save the long box and put it on your wall like a poster.
Nice.
You remember some of the turmoil of the 80s, how New York was like this like cauldron of racial tension, and the Reagan administration and the Bush administration, and Dan Quayle misspelling potato, and like all this stuff, from the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's really, a lot of it takes place in that era, and then the stuff that takes place in current times takes those values and tries to apply them in the new world, and then I fail miserably. Like talking to a girl who's a little younger than you can be disastrous because she wants to text, and I'd rather meet you and talk.
Right.
So there's like a communication, there's a problem with communication. So, I mean, if you came up in the 80s and 90s and you're kind of like, you feel lost in the current world, or you're like a hip-hop fan, a record collector, you're into like funk and stuff like that, if you're like have an old school, no nonsense, don't waste my time mentality, and you appreciate the unappreciated, you can appreciate things that people don't normally talk about. If you're not averse to like foul language and really strong opinions, because I do use those, you might not relate to everything, but you'll find something in there to relate to.
No, yeah, I've been having my old man moments where I see two kids walking down the street and both of them have headphones on, but yet they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. I'm like, how do you guys hear each other? Like, I mean, it's on very low, but at the same time, like, how do you even hear each other?
Yeah, like, and I don't know. I'm just, but I've accepted it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to change it with them, because I worked in high schools. I work around kids. I'm a reporter for high school sports, so I'm constantly around these kids, and they just don't understand. I brought a Walkman to school once to show kids, and they didn't know what the hell it was. So,
Nice.
Like, I don't blame them. That's just they have their time, we had ours, and that's it. But I'm writing the book for people who are in my time, who feel like they have nothing to read and relate to. And hopefully some of the stories and opinions will be shared by, people who feel like kind of lost. Because media doesn't cater to us. Media caters to 18 to 27.
Right.
So when you're over 30, like there's not that much for you. And when it is, it's like how to finance your mortgage, how to put your kid through school. Like they're not talking about like, remember when, you went to, a school dance and did the Running Man, or remember when, you used to get on the pay phone to call a girl, you had 25 cents and you had 4 minutes to get her to come outside. And if you didn't have any extra change, the operator would cut you off, so you had to be real pimpish and slick. And it's like you had to be a master on the payphone to convince the girl to come outside. So, like, talking about stuff like that, it'll, like, hopefully it just brings up, laughs for people and some nostalgia, and also makes them think, the message is way beneath the humor and the brash talk. Like, there's some messages, hopefully, that people will receive.
I remember using, 1-800-COLLECT to call my parents just to give a message what I was doing real quickly and hang up. Being like,
yeah, because, you and sometimes you get a little bit of change back.
Yeah, exactly.
Use it all.
Trying to figure that one out.
So,
That's Go ahead, sorry.
A look at that era,
So I want to step away from the book for my last two questions.
Okay.
In college, I guess 2000, right? I started rocking your track of Candy Razors. So I've always wanted to ask, what was the inspiration behind that song?
It's funny you asked that, and it's funny that it's popular because that song I wasn't going to put on my album.
Wow. Oh, wow.
What happened was my first album, Music for Two Madre, was a senior project for my college. I went to SUNY Purchase College,
oh, nice.
And I had to do an album, graduate, had to be 45 minutes. Album was 42 minutes. I needed one last song, and I wasn't really trying to be a rapper, although I rapped on there. So I was just like, who can I get to? So I just kind of had like that beat lying around. I was like, who can rhyme on this? I was like, I can't really rhyme on this. So I gave it to Huggy, who was who I'd been working with, and he was like, all right, I'll get on something. And he called me. He's like, yo, his friend Kobayashi was a friend of his. I knew him too. He was like, Kobe wants to get on it, and he's got his friend Trip from college up for Thanksgiving break. Can he get on it? I was like, yeah, I don't care. I just need 4 more minutes for my project. And it was like, I got to hand this in like December 14th. And they were like, no, we'll be up there, the end of Thanksgiving break, record it, and then you can mix it and hand it in. I was like, all right, cool. So, they came up and did it. I mean, they were rhyming about, different things, but I wasn't, to be completely honest, like I didn't really know, I wasn't really that, aware of what was, I mean, I knew what they were talking about, but it's not like I was like reading and studying the same stuff. I'm like, yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, they sound dope. The lyrics are good. The lyrics are dope. Beat is good. Okay, sounds good. I got to hand this project in, So I handed it in, and then when I made the cassette and was giving it to people, everybody kind of liked the song, and I was like, wow, that was kind of just to meet a requirement for for my project. And when I was going to press vinyl, I wasn't going to put it on there. But people kept saying, like, yo, I like that song. So I was like, all right, I'll put it on the vinyl. And then it wound up being the most popular song on that record. So that, and I'm not even on it. I don't rhyme on it. I just did the beat.
Right. I mean, I think right away, I mean, the beat actually just blew me away. And then kind of rhyme. I think with a lot of music, beats are, primary, and then secondary is the lyrics. Right. And that was like one of the things that kind of blew me away was just like the beat, and then the rhyming on it was pretty remarkable as well.
Right. Thanks. Yeah. So it was really by accident. It was that sometimes they say in music, like things that are accidental wind up being your most biggest successes. So. Right. So I want to go. My last question. I want to go back to your album, Music for Two Madre. Right.
So track number 5, the track that's it's called 5 Years, which is one of your preludes. You ask, where do you see hip hop in 5 years? So I actually want to know, where do you see hip hop in 5 years?
I don't even know anymore. I have no clue. Like I said, like the way things are now, like it's not my cup of tea. I don't like most of the stuff that's out, but it's not for me. I'm a 34-year-old man living in New York. Most hip-hop is made for high school kids nowadays, and kids in their 20s,
Right.
And the kid, from working in a high school, working with kids, the kids are into that stuff. I don't like it, but it's not, I'm not going to bash it.
Right.
Like, it's just not for me. So, like I said, I'm at a point where I'd rather go in and celebrate groups from my era that weren't celebrated, and that's what my book is about. Like, instead of wasting my time bashing Little B or Soulja Boy, I'm going to put my energy into talking about why Tim Dog's album is underrated, or why Hollywood Impact is a great producer, or why Son of Berserk and No Face and the Afros made incredible albums that that didn't get the respect they deserve, So I'd rather put my energy into like going into my era and bringing stuff to the light that is commonly overlooked.
J-Zone, thanks so much for joining us on And You Don't Stop with Chuck D.
No problem. Thank you.